We're going to give you a quick overview of, the most common pathogens that you find in swimming pools. Then we'll talk about how you can prevent them from growing and what you can do to get rid of them if you have
a problem. Houston, you have a problem. What do you do?
Yeah, exactly.
And as always, we ended up with 2 case studies before we come to the questions.
And the questions, as always, in this case, just raise your hand.
Or just say what you want to say.
Unmute your microphone and ask. We're a small group today, so this is great.
But now is coming something new. YouTube. Yes. Coming from America, right? YouTube.
Yes. So we are putting all the sessions, all the recorded sessions on YouTube. In fact, they are already on. So session 1 to 8 you can find on YouTube. 9 will be added probably on Monday.
Yeah, and we will show this at the end of the session a little bit more in detail how you can use this. I think it's a really good tool for you, for your employees, future employees. Yeah.
Yep. Okay, so let's go back to session 8. What were the 3 key learnings? Learning number 1, you remember, if you use AFMNG in combination with a daisy, what you do is you're lowering your chloroform, your THM production by 50% or more, and you are lowering your inorganic chloramines by a factor of 3 to 5. You are not lowering your organic chloramines, and that's why we have step number 2.
Yes. Small correction. Really, you do this just with AFMNG, and with Daisy, you make an additional 20%.
Yep, good point.
I mean, just to be clear, because I know most of you are using just our AFM, and that's the important step. So if by regulation, like in Switzerland, Germany, you have to drop your organic combined chlorine, never a problem in outdoor pools because you have the sun who will make the photolysis of the organic combined chlorine. But in indoor pool, if you want to drop it below 0.2, you will be, without these measurements, you will be 0.3, 0.4. You have 3 options. Option number 1, which is my preferred one, add 10 centimeters of
4 inches.
4 inches, sorry, back in inches. 4 inches of activated carbon, gone. Yep. You lose some chlorine, that's a downside, but this is how you can drop. If you don't have to do it by your national regulation, don't do it. You can also use UV medium pressure. We put it in red. We are not a fan because THMs are going up. You also consume chlorine. Well, that's not my problem, but the THM is something we do not like. And what we have here in Germany, Switzerland, these high ozone systems with reaction tanks. You can do it. They are great, but it's really expensive. It's really expensive in CapEx as well as in OpEx. And we presented as a step number 3 in our last section, Avenox, advanced oxidation, where you treat the water just every 2 to 3 days in a bypass loop. We are creating free radicals by heavy UV, splitting up peroxide in hydroxyl radicals. It's very new in the pool. We are the first one who do this in combination with Daisy. It works perfectly. These first 2 cases, we get now 20 units next week, and they will go out, and in a year we will have more information. So but it's most likely that we come back in a year and we'll share this experience. Absolutely. I think that would be also a really good solution, much better than UV medium pressure. And you're on the top level.
Yes. So we let the Europeans are the guinea pigs on this. We collect some experiences here, and then we'll bring it back to the US and discuss it with you guys when we're ready.
If you have questions, come back to us. Philip.
Exactly.
So pathogens, session number 9. Let's give the overview. This is how they look like, but let's go one by one. This is usually how we find it in our regulation. You have the aerobic mesophilic germs. Let's call them germs. E. coli, Pseudomonas, and Legionellas. And what you missed here, maybe if you do one more.
No.
Okay, what we have not here, what I know what you're testing all the time, as well as in the UK, and is crypto, which is really, they don't test it here. I think this is wrong. I think you're absolutely right to test them, but we are not. But we will also talk about crypto. Let's go one by one, just to you get an overview. It's Do you need it? I think it's interesting to know.
Okay, so first there is what's called a total plate count, or the total amount of germs that you can find in water. These are called aerobic mesophilic germs. Huh?
Aerobic, we know. This is something that
means,
needs oxygen. What is mesophilic?
So mesophilic is, meso means middle, philic means loving, like hydrophilic, by the way, right? Loves water. Mesophilic means these are germs that love kind of the middle of the road temperatures, 60 to 80, up to 90 degrees Fahrenheit, actually.
In Europe, usually you test this because it's an easy one. You take the water sample, you put it on a Petri dish, you breathe it for 72 hours at 30 degrees, and then you count here the points. And these points are the CFU. What is the CFU?
Yes, so these are the colony forming units, CFU, right?
So this is always
one count.
One count is one colony. One colony. You would not see them individually, but the colony you can see, and then you can count them. And the more you count, the more colonies you have. Then it's an easy one. If you have them, I called it Houston, we have a problem. That's Apollo 13, I guess.
Yeah, I think so, so again, the total count doesn't tell you what problem you have. It just tells you that you have a problem, right? And now you need to look into the details. Huh?
Yep.
Good. So the first one that we look at is called E. coli. E. coli is a bacteria that is brought into the pool through fecal origin. So it's someone who's not clean, someone with diarrhea, brings in this type of bacteria into the pool. It can cause severe diarrhea. And it's
E. coli is easy to test, and if you have E. coli, you might have others. For instance, crypto. It's an indicator for fecal contamination.
Exactly.
Size about 2 microns.
Very small.
Small.
Very small.
Pseudomonas. There are plenty of groups of Pseudomonas. The group which is interesting for us is the Pseudomonas aeruginosa. It's also a bacteria, quite small, 0.5 to 3 micron in size. The reason why they are interesting, they are really the pioneers, of the biofilm. They build up the biofilm, and they colonize all wet areas quickly, efficiently, and they multiply very quickly. They are heterotroph. If there is enough food, 30 degrees, they multiply every 30 minutes. If they are alone, planktonic, they are very easily to oxidize, with very low concentration of chlorine. But the moment where they're protecting in a biofilm, they are quite resistant.
And they can cause ear infections and skin irritations.
And also they interact with other microorganisms. So they build up the house, if you want, and then the full community, it's like in the hippies in the 70s or in the 60s, they move in and then they make a good party. And this is why it's a problem.
Party in the biofilm, huh?
Party in the biofilm, So here they are planktonic, easy to kill. We see them later on again.
Okay.
Let's move to the next.
These are the Pseudomonas, huh?
Yeah.
Pseudomonas.
Pseudomonas.
Okay, I can't move the... No, I can. Good. Next one, Legionella. That's a very common one too, huh?
Yeah, it's an important one. Yeah. Again, it's a bacteria. How do you call it? Bar-shaped. It's about 6 micron long, maybe 1 micron in width.
Yeah.
There are about 57 different species of Legionellas. Most of them, 50, are completely harmless. No problem, not at all. But there are about 5 to 7 which can cause you a heavy fever, Pontiac fever.
Yeah.
And there is one, which can create this very heavy Legionella disease, which is bad. I mean, if you have a weak immune system, it's a little bit like with COVID, there's a high risk that you will not survive it. Yeah. If you have a good immune system, maybe you have a little bit of headache and you have a little problem to breathe, and you have pain in your muscles, a little bit of like COVID. But if you have a weak immune system, that's not good. Now, the beauty is, Legionellas, you can drink thousands of them. Oral, it's not a problem. It's really just a problem if you inhalate them, if you inhalate aerosols, and maybe you explain, Ricky, where it's coming from.
the aerosols are the problem. So, for example, cooling towers.
Cooling towers, yeah. If you're on a power plant, cooling towers.
Or in,
this is where, by the way, AFM plays a very important role, side stream filtration.
Exactly, showers, that's a problem area. Then, for example, air conditioning in a closed room.
And this is where there was the first outbreak. And this was from Legionnaires, from veterans from the war in the US. And this is why it's called the Legionnaire's disease. It really came from this.
And then in our case, of course, it's spas, whirlpools.
Where you have good temperature and where you have aerosols. Everywhere where you have these blowers, there is a risk. And it is a risk.
Now, Legionellas really love this kind of temperature range here. They are usually brought into the pool through tap water.
For example, here on the right, you see more than 10% of the water they tested from tap water, and that was Germany, had a higher or a lower contamination with Legionellas. 100, that's still a low one, but you have here 0.9%, let's call it 1%, more than 10,000, which is a really high contamination. So it's brought in with tap water, not with each and every tap water, but it can be brought in with tap water. And then it can multiply. And where does it multiply? It multiplies in the biofilm. And the biofilm is sitting in the filter media.
So if you have biofilm, you most likely also have a Legionella problem.
Good chance, If you get it through your tap water, you will have it.
Okay. Another one that we want to talk about is...
Which we do not test, but there is one,
is an amoeba. Now, an amoeba is not a bacteria. It's actually a single cell organism. And what's special about amoebas is they can alter their shape. You can see this in the video in the lower right. This is an amoeba that you can see how it moves, and it actually has, what is it called? Pseudopods. It's like arms that it can extend to encapsulate its prey. They're relatively big in size. So you could...
100 to 1,000 micron, up to 1 millimeter, so easy to filter. Usually they live in biofilms. They're not usually living in water. And what is interesting, that's what we wrote here in red below. More importantly, many amoeba species harbor pathogenic bacteria, such as Legionella. So they want to eat them, but they cannot digest them. The Legionella has a mechanism which protects them against digestion of the amoeba. Other bacteria they can digest, but not Legionellas. And for the Legionellas, this is the sweet, safe home, where then they can multiply in a protected environment. Because in the biofilm, there are other microorganisms who want to eat the Legionellas. So they go to the amoeba, get absorbed, double in this, and can grow, multiply.
And amoebas could be killed easily. They could be easily oxidized, but when they live in the biofilm, they have a lot of protection.
Usually you will not find amoeba, in pool water. They're sitting in the biofilm, but for instance, in natural pools, you can find them, it's not good to swallow them. Oral, they are not good. They can give a very bad,
infections, diarrhea,
Or in the surf pools, we read in some articles, also in the US, they had a severe in the surf pools outbreak. So good filtration makes it.
There's actually been a few fatalities in the US. You might remember not too long ago. In a surf pool or in a river rafting area,
which is very low treated,
right, Sean? That was, I think, a brain-eating amoeba.
Yeah, that was the National Whitewater Training Center in Charlotte, North Carolina.
That's right. Okay,
and
crypto.
You know what their solution was? What was their solution?
Well,
what was the solution?
They replaced their sand with AFM to get rid of the biofilm.
Solve the problem.
Yes.
That plus a very, very powerful ozone system.
But really, if you remove the biofilm, you can have biofilm also in the pool itself. But if if it's a big filters, you know, you remove the biofilm, no biofilm, no amoebas.
Yeah. Yep, that's right. Okay, the next one is crypto. I know that's a big one. That's really important in the US. Crypto is a parasite. It's also a single cell organism. So it's not a bacteria, it's a parasite. But the problem with crypto is it's highly resistant to chlorine. You need very high concentrations of chlorine to get rid of it, which you usually don't have.
Yeah,
right?
For a long time.
The good news here is, though, that crypto is relatively big, 3 to 6 microns in size. So if you have really good filtration, maybe in combination with flocculation, but with AFM-NG, you get the filtration that you need that will remove crypto from your water.
Yeah,
so there is a solution to this.
Yeah. Especially the NG is a crypto barrier.
Yep.
Okay.
Good.
We have a lot of slides.
Yeah. So
short recovery from session number 4, biology in sand filters. You know, how do bacteria survive in pools? You have here the Pseudomonas aeruginosa. They are heterotroph. They are in the water, and then they come to a surface which is in contact with water. They attach to the surface. They secrete this slime to protect themselves, and this makes them quite resistant against chlorination and other oxidants.
Yeah.
And biggest part of the surface that is in contact with the water is the sand. So if you solve the problem there, you solve the problem quite well.
Yes, yes. And you remember from session 3, 4, 5, 1 cubic feet of sand has a surface of approximately 1,000 square feet. So the big majority of the surface, like Dominic said, has in contact with water is in your filter. 90% or more. Okay. This here?
Yeah, I take this one, you take the next one. You know, so what's the problem with the biofilm? One of the problems for the pathogens is really, it's the Pseudomonas who build up the biofilm. Then you have the amoebas who are moving in. And with the amoebas, you have the sweet, safe home for the Legionellas.
Yeah.
So and the biofilm will be stronger the more you have the temperature. So especially for spas, you know, that it grows exponential.
Yeah.
But the takeaway from here, if you have a bioresistance filter media, you will have no Pseudomonas, you will have no biofilm, and that means you have no amoebas. And if you have no amoebas, you have no Legionellas. I do it black and white. It's a little bit more like different grays. So it's not 0, 100. It's something like 90, 10.
Yep. It's always a bit of a gray area, right? So one of the biggest problems with biofilm in your sand filter is that it leads to clumping and channeling of the filter bed. This means you have an unreliable filtration through your bed. And this also then means that bits and pieces of biofilm that are in the filter bed are getting through these channels into the pool.
So these green guys here, these are colonies. These are not individual ones. Yeah. We did it as an individual one, but really these are colonies. But more important for you, I think, is crypto. You know, even you do flocculation, if it's channeled, you know, even the flocculation will not work. It will just go through. And maybe these channels are just open for an hour or 2 hours once a week, but in this time, it will pass.
Yep.
Yep.
So no biofilm, no clumping, no channeling.
Reliable filtration. Problem. Reliable filtration means 24 hours reliable filtration, 7 days, 365.
That's the key.
Yeah, that's the key.
That's the key. Okay, so what can you do to prevent the growth of pathogens? First and foremost is make sure you use a filter media that is bioresistant.
I would recommend to you AFM.
How come?
Well,
yes,
that's the brand.
I'm sorry,
I know.
We're brainwashing you guys a little bit here, but this is really important. If you use a bioresistant filter media, you eliminate many of your problems.
That's what my math teacher told me, Dominic. I have to tell this you 10 times, then probably you will keep it.
Yes.
He was right.
And to repeat this, you know, how is this possible? So the way AFM works is AFM has metal oxides in the glass grains that react with oxygen in the water. This forms free radicals on the surface of the glass. These free radicals have a very high oxidation potential, and they oxidize bacteria and algae that are trying to attach on the surface of AFM.
Yeah.
Therefore, we have
reaction,
no
and in the
biofilm.
activation process, we increase the surface by a factor of 300, and that's why it's really AFM makes a huge difference.
So the only other filter media that I know that is resistant to biofouling is diatomaceous earth, I believe, to some degree, right?
That's true.
But we know the downsides of DEE. We covered that in an earlier session, right?
That's the beauty,
But definitely not sand.
And AFM is in a way quite similar. Just ours is easier to use and less costly.
Not zeolite.
No, definitely not zeolite. I mean, zeolite is perfect for the first 3 months, but then you get heavy biofouling.
Heavy biofouling. Okay, and this is what it. Yes, Sean.
A quick note on zeolite. Zeolite. You know, a lot of people in the pool industry adopted it early on, decades ago, when it first started being used in pools, and found out really quickly how much maintenance was involved, or how short the actual lifespan was. It's now being remarketed as a number of different brands or names. So be aware of that. Ruby sand, for example, is zeolite. There's nothing different between zeolite and ruby sand or zeolite or whatever brand name it was. So keep an eye out for that if you run into that on specs or in competition.
Yeah, and our Dr. Dryden, I know our brainy, our genius boy, I mean, he did his PhD on zeolite. So he is really one of the real leading experts in zeolite. And he also tried to protect zeolite from becoming biofouled with silver and things like that. It does not work. Long time it does not work.
Yeah, okay, so here what you see is you see clean sand under the microscope on the upper left, clean AFM in the lower left. This is how sand starts to biofoul, colonize after just 3 days. And here you see the surface of AFM after 5 years. So if you do the bacterial count in this case, you know, as Dominic said, it's never completely black and white, but you can see the differences are
huge,
significant, right?
And you do this also on the Petri dish. You make a probe from after a backwash, from once the media from sand, once from AFM. You shake it in deionized water, and then you go on the Petri dish, and this is the result that you will get.
Good. Okay. Yep. This is also something we shared before. This is the filtration performance of AFM NG at 8 gallons per minute per square foot filtration velocity. This has been independently tested and confirmed to remove 95% of all particles down to 1 micron in sand.
Now, and that 12 gallons, I don't have it in mind. I know we tested not in IFTS, but internally, there we are not anymore on 95, but about it's 88, something like this. But as crypto has 3 to 6 microns, you know, on the 3 microns, we are still more than 95%, and that means we have a log 2 reduction. If we circulate the water. So it's really safe, and you don't have this challenge. It's really safe.
Okay, and in addition to that, also as a refresher, AFM is very effective at reducing organics, AFM-NG that is. Its surface is hydrophobic, which means it repels water, but it attracts all other hydrophobic surfaces or substances. For example, like organics, proteins, oils, lipids, they're all hydrophobic. So they love AFM, AFM loves them. So it's a perfect combination to filter them out.
And if you want to filter the ocean to get rid of the microplastic, that would work too, but probably we will not have enough of supply to do that. But that means if you remove more organics, you have less of chloroforms and other PHMs. So that's now not microbiology. This is chemistry, but that's also important. But it also has to do, and we don't want chloroform. And that's really not great, especially not for babies. But again, you know, because it filters so much better, we have a really crypto barrier. And if you want to do that even better, next one. Then go for coagulation, flocculation. If you want to go for the worry bass, go for ours. That helps us, and that will help you and your customers.
So APF is our coagulant flocculant, which you can dose prior to APF, prior to AFM continuously. This will get you filtration to a sub-micron level.
Yeah, and if you cannot change already used sand, and they say, I need a solution for the next 6 months, that's definitely also something which improve dramatically your
APF in combination with sand, and then replace the sand later.
Yeah, and keep the APF.
Yeah,
that's good for our business. That's good for your business.
Yeah,
and it really makes.
absolutely.
I mean, 1 micron is great, but 0.1 micron is better.
Okay,
that's what I learned.
So,
back to 10.
AFMNG provides optimal safety against crypto, and again in combination with APF. It's like this example: if you
you have a belt and how you suspenders, you know, like in the movie Wall Street, you know, when Michael Douglas were wearing this. I wanted to become also one of these guys.
Or I guess
I'm here in the pool business. I think that's better.
It's driving a car with a seatbelt on and a helmet, so you have double safety, and nothing can happen.
Yeah,
right?
Today's safety is some kind of important. Yeah. What we learn.
Exactly. Okay. One other thing you can do to prevent the growth of algae and bacteria in your pool is to remove phosphates. Remember, there are numerous, phosphate removers on the market. Phosphate, just to remember, phosphate is responsible, phosphates allow bacteria to transport food in their membrane, basically. And if you remove phosphates, then bacteria cannot digest, and they will ultimately starve and die.
Yeah, but remember, if you remove all the phosphates, they are not gone tomorrow. That takes a little bit of time, 6 to 12 weeks. But yeah, it's a vital nutrient. If they don't have this, it's difficult.
Yes.
And no phos, 3 times positive charge is the very best, and it's a natural product to remove this. And we have it in our ATF. But if you have really high problems with phosphates because your tap water has high values, then the best first you bring the phosphates down to 0, and then you keep it with APF down. And if you don't use APF, then if you have a phosphates problem, really you use no phos or another phosphate removal. But that's important.
Yep.
That's a picture I've done 6-7 years ago. This is in Alicante in the aquarium. Where I was there, to make them some recommendation, and this was the pool of the seals, and I do not believe, he enjoys it. Swimmers are not enjoying algae and bacteria, and I mean this is full of phosphates. This is so heavily phosphated, that the algae start to grow on, how do you call it, the
fur,
on the fur. So I think it will be quite nasty. He will do all the time this, right? So it's not just algae.
His arms are too short, right?
Yeah,
he can't scratch.
Yeah. So
guy.
that's not right. Yeah. We can do this a lot better.
Yeah. Okay. So what can you do when you have germs in your pool?
Yeah, this is how the reports here in Germany are looking. Let's not go too deep, but here they had Legionellas then, and then you have to do something. And here, just next one.
Next,
just quickly to show you 3 steps that you can do. Depends, if you have 1 to 10, what you do, you backwash your filter with highly chlorinated water. They recommend 20 ppm. Honestly, I would be happy with 5 or even with 2 if you add chlorine dioxide to it, that we will see in a minute.
Yeah.
Then, of course, you should check your filters. You should do a backwash. See, do you have a bad expansion? That for it would be great if you have side glass. You need them to have them in Germany by law, but you see you have a bad expansion. If you don't have a bad expansion, you have a problem. If you have existing filters where you cannot see this, flow is perfect. Then you see at least you have enough of backwash velocity, and then you have to make another analysis after 4 weeks.
Yep.
If you have 10 to 1000, you have to turn off all the aerosol generating devices, because the legislature said it's too dangerous. And then what else you do?
So I guess you have to turn it off, because this really is what brings the Legionella into the atmosphere.
You can drink them,
they're aerosol, as we mentioned, right? You inhale them, and that's what makes them dangerous. That's why you have to turn off these devices. Then you backwash your filter again with highly chlorinated water. If you have a spa, then you have to empty, clean it, disinfect it, and then make a new analysis after 10 days.
Yeah, and from the pool water as well as from the filtrate. Filtrate is the water just after the filter before oxidation, and that after 10 days. Okay.
Yep. And then if your concentration is super high here, over 1,000 CFU units, then they close your pool, huh? And you have to become what's his name, Sherlock Holmes.
Sherlock Holmes, yeah.
You have to go find the source of contamination somewhere in your system. Then clean this, you know, clean the pipes, the valves, the channels, the balance tank.
Especially check the filtration and the rinsing, the backwashing, and eliminate the source. So let's have a look how you do that.
Yes.
You know, this is typical. You know, I would start like this. I would go to the overflow channels. Here you see already biofilm. So remove this biofilm. How you do this? I mean, you can brush it. You can clean it with bleach or with chlorine dioxide. That would be good. Or a combination of these. But this biofilm has to go away. This is where you can, in the biofilm, amoebas, legionellas. That's the first one. On the spa, maybe?
Yeah, if you have contamination in your spa, that you can see this here. The water is very cloudy.
This is contaminated. Right? This is biofilms, bioflux.
Very small.
This is why it's so turbid. I would not go in this pool. This is really not a good idea, especially not for women. Right.
Then you have to drain it, clean it, disinfect it.
Yeah, we will have a look how you do that.
Balance tank.
How we would recommend to do this.
Balance tank.
Here also you see this biofilm on the balance tank. You know, the balance tank has the most contaminated water. This is why also you have good growth of biofilms in this.
Pipes, that's you can see this here. That's a
difficult to brush
one to clean.
Difficult to brush if you have 2 inches. I mean, most brushes are not, and your arms are maybe not long enough, so you have to do this in a chemical way. But really, the key one, 95% of the problem is filter media. 95% of the problem is filter media. Now, how do you do that? With chlorine or with chlorine dioxide. Now, we present you a product that we sell here in Europe. We are not selling it, or not yet, or we are not selling it in the US. But yeah, there will be products like this on the market.
We would sell it, but you know, you need EPA and a number of approvals. So
send us orders for few thousand, $100,000 of dollars, and then we are going to do it.
Can you put the camera a little bit down?
Yeah, or I put this up. Yeah, I help you. I'm your assistant. This is the tablet. This tablet is not chlorine dioxide, but if you put this tablet into the water, and you see this is half a liter, you create chlorine dioxide. And this is this soluble gas. This is why it's so yellow. Now here, of course, we make a concentration roughly of 5,000 ppm, because this tablet makes 2 grams of chlorine dioxide. Our new ones only make 1. But you see, it looks toxic, huh? It looks toxic.
It smells pretty bad too. This concentration, right?
Yeah. Now it starts. You know, this is why it should not, the tablet should not be wet, because then it will go to the atmosphere. But as long as it is binded, and of course now, usually you have a concentration of 5 ppm. Here we make 5,000. But I wanted to show you, you know, how that would look. Yeah, now it starts to smell, so.
Yeah, but you
check
can
it,
see,
drink it.
Yeah.
No, I save it for the beer.
You can see it's really dissolving quickly, huh?
Yeah, 2-3 minutes, depending on the water temperature. So, Florent, would you do me a favor and take it out before, as long as we are still alive?
Before everybody faints.
I wanted to show you, we are doctors. Back to the presentation.
Back to the slides. Okay.
So this is the chemical formula, ClO2, 1 chlorine, 2 oxygen. So it's a radical with oxidizing properties. It's a little bit stronger than chlorine gas. Chlorine gas has 1.35 electrovolts. This has 1.57, but it also makes complete oxidation. So it's also a problem solver. If you have for 1 time too high combined chlorine, you put in chlorine dioxide, that will break up a good amount of combined chlorine by complete oxidation. I think it's not a good one, you know, to do it on permanence, Beauty of it, it will form no THMs. It's complete oxidation, or much less than chlorine. But the key one, it's a soluble gas, and that's why it can penetrate biofilms and other membranes. And this is why it's so much more effective. We say 10 times, how it says 100 times, maybe the truth is in between, but it's at least 10 times more effective. So instead of 20 ppm, you're okay with 2 ppm. Ideally, you always make a combination. You know, remember like our discussion about APF, where we say multi-spectrum. So a combination, 5 ppm of chlorine, 2 ppm of chlorine dioxide. That's the best.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like the double punch in
punch,
boxing.
yeah.
You know, it's a left-right hook to knock the biofilm out. But really, this is what Dominic was mentioning. And that's one of the main differences. Chlorine dioxide, because it is a soluble gas, penetrates the biofilm to reach the bacteria and kill them. Whereas chlorine really first needs to oxidize through the biofilm until it reaches the bacteria. And, as it oxidizes, you lose a lot of the concentration of it.
Yeah, and if you only have 1 or 2 survivors, and you're back in good conditions, warm enough food, they multiply that quickly, and yeah.
And
so chlorine dioxide.
And you have survival of the fittest again.
Yeah, survival of the fittest. Here we are. Here we are. He's getting better and better, huh? John,
okay.
I think I can send him back now to the US. I trained him for a year here. I'm in Switzerland because of the lockdown.
Yeah. So honestly, I don't know if this is a product that is available in the US. I know chlorine dioxide is. I don't know if you have this in a tablet form like this. Nevertheless, we wanted to quickly take you through the process of how to use it now to properly get rid of the biofilm in a pool, or in a filter.
In a filter. This is now called filter disinfection. So how would we do it? We said, okay, fill the balance tank to the top.
Yeah,
really Why do we
all
do this?
The way to the top.
Why do we do this? Because we will put in then triox tablets into the balance tank, will generate chlorine dioxide, and this we don't want to clean just the first 10 centimeters. We want to clean all the balance tank, especially at the balance tanks where you cannot access. So that's step number 1, fill it to the top, stop the pump.
Then we add the Dryox tablets. I would say most of the Dryox tablets directly into the balance tank. The concentration that you want is the example is here, 4 tablets for 2,500 gallons of pool volume.
Not balance tank volume, pool volume.
So as an example, if we have a pool with 26,000 gallons, we would use 40 tablets, which gives us a concentration of 0.4 ppms of chlorine dioxide.
That's the maximum, if you're then back in circulation, end of the process, that's the max you could have. It will be less. Why? Because in the oxidation process, you lose concentration, and something goes then by the sun, etc. In the process, you lose. And this is still okay, at least according to Italian drinking water regulations, that you could have this amount. This is why we went to this. But we put these tablets now in our balance tank. Maybe 80% of them, or 30 tablets in the balance tank. And I would also put some of them in the overflow system, in the overflow channel. Make sure it's always in water. And if you can't make this sure, dissolve them first in water and then take this solution to put it in. This is not just to clean it, it's really to clean the piping. And this is hard to clean. Ideally, these pipes are full with water. So ideally, you would close if there is a valve, the valve from the pipes before they enter the balance tank, if you could close them so you can fill it. And then you put in the tablets or this solution.
So you flood the overflow channels and then you drop the tablets in.
You don't have really to flood it. It's more for the pipes, if you flood it, it's also it's definitely not wrong. But the overflow channel you also can brush, but not the pipes. The problem is the pipes, and then leave it for a certain time. It's always saying it's concentration multiplied by time. So the higher the concentration, the longer the exposure, the better is
Yep.
the effect.
Okay. So then you let the tablets dissolve for a few minutes, and then you turn on your pump for a few
now,
minutes.
again, they are now in the balance tank.
Yep.
You know, we talk now about the pipe to the balance tank, but let's say the balance tank, then all of this must be dissolved. Then I would leave it for maybe 10 minutes so that the biofilm on the balance tank is gone. Then we still have a high concentration. Turn on the pumps for 5, maybe 6, 7 minutes. This depends how big is your filter, but it's important that the dry ox water enters you, or the chlorine dioxide water enters your filter, goes all through your filter, that all your filter media is in contact with this chlorine dioxide, and then you stop, and then you wait 5 minutes. I would wait for 60 minutes to make it long, and that really will break up all this biofilm. There's nothing wrong if you do a combination with 2 or 5 ppm of chlorine. So the chlorine dioxide opens the biofilm, and the chlorine gives it the rest.
The 2 punch. Okay, and then finally you backwash your filter properly, and you restart your system. Done.
Done. Good.
Okay. So what are some other sources of contamination?
We had a pool in Scotland, you know, with a daisy system. The water was so clear. I mean, you could read the newspapers through it. It was unbelievable. And they have Pseudomonas, not in the filtrate, but they had Pseudomonas in the pool. And it took us a little bit of while to find out. You know, we tested ATP and things like this, and everything was perfect, you know, what was filter concerned. And then we find out it's the floats. They were never washed, never disinfected. It was the floats. So with the floats, they have Pseudomonas, and this is how you brought them back. So from time to wash and to disinfect the floats, the noodles, the pool covers, and maybe also the line dividers. And you can do this with bleach. You can do this. The best you do is, again, with chlorine dioxide, you know, 2 tablets and 25 gallons, or 1 tablet and 25 gallons. Then you have a perfect cleaning solution. This cleaning solution you can also use, you know, to wash your floor. It's much better than you do this with soap. If you do it with soap and this soap comes into the pool water, you get combined chlorine, you destroy your flocculation. So it's also perfect as a cleaning one. So don't forget, if you have one Pseudomonas, I don't know if it's really monitored in the US or not, but if it is, it can come from these things which are outside of the water.
We should not forget those, Okay, so now if we change to a spa, a hot tub, and I will be the proud owner of a spa in about 4 weeks' time. So I'm getting ready to actually practice this live, you know, at home. But really, we recommend that you do a deep chlorine dioxide deep cleaning every 3 months with a spa. How do you do this?
Maybe first, what's the reason for this? You know, in its perfect conditions, it's very heavy loaded, a lot of organics in, and this piping. In this piping you have the growth of biofilm, and you see this. You know, if you don't clean if you don't do it, you know, after 6 months, when you turn on your massage, you get these brown spots. And this is biofilm coming from the piping. And the only way how you can clean this efficiently is chlorine dioxide.
Chlorine dioxide. So add, you know, your tablets directly into the hot tub. 4 tablets per roughly 250, 265 gallon. Turn on your filter, your massage system for, you know, maybe up to an hour. That would be ideal. Obviously, do not use the pool during this time unless you have a neighbor who you don't like. Maybe then you ask him to use it, but otherwise don't. And then completely drain your system. Rinse it and refill it with water, and then it will be ready.
And maybe a last point: if you have air blowers on top, you know, you have a channel, you know, an air channel or air jets. Ideally, you know, if the chlorine dioxide is in, you know, and the water gets really that yellow as you have seen it, you know, start the blower that you get out all the old water, and then the new water, the disinfected water, can enter into the channels. And then you leave it for a couple of minutes, and you do this 2-3 times, and then it's perfect.
Okay. Good.
Yeah. So this is really for hot tubs. That's the best one, and I think it's really. It can be really dangerous. I remember that was 3 years ago. There was a tourist here in Switzerland, you know, who was in an apartment which he rented, and there was a hot tub, and he used that. He was an older man, not best immune system, and he died of Legionnaire's disease, and definitely got it from the spa, you know, because they haven't done this kind of treatment. So it can be dangerous. Yeah, really can be dangerous.
So here's something we found on the internet, on YouTube, to illustrate, you know, what can happen. What can happen.
Holy shit!
Okay, Philip, what's the learning of this?
Very embarrassing, you know.
What's the learning of this?
Yeah, I guess the learning is never fart in a whirlpool, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Or
and that can happen to all of us, honestly. You know, if you have E. coli or crypto, that is exactly what will happen. But if you have a fatal incident, I mean, clearly here you would empty the pool, you would refill it, I mean, clean it, refill it, and make a dry ox treatment, and then you're absolutely safe. Yeah, but maybe you have a big pool, you know, with 1,000 cubic meter, a big pool, I mean, Olympic size pool, and it's heated where you probably will not want to change all your water. So what you can do is try to evacuate the pieces. If there are pieces, it's a little bit more difficult. If it's too liquid, right, then with a vacuum cleaner, try to get whatever you can get on your filter, then you backwash it, and then make a dry ox treatment in combination with a shock chlorination, and then you're safe. I mean,
Yep. Okay, and here's two really good pictures what a pipe looks like before and after a chlorine dioxide
and
treatment.
Exactly, this brown black spots, this is what you will find in your hot tub.
That's biofilm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, but again, coming back to pools, you know, these were details. I mean, it's really all these pathogens, crypto and all these other pathogens, 90%, 80% is media, and it's the wrong backwash procedure. So never go up, always go down, as we discussed it in one of the previous sessions.
With the backwash lines here, huh?
Yeah. Yep. With the backwash lines. And the next one, make sure, you know, your piping is correct. You know, if you have like here, you know, too small diameters, you have too high speed, you have too much of resistance, you don't get it. The best, put in a flow vis, control your flow, and then you see, okay, I don't have the flow, what's wrong? And we explained this in deep in session number 3. So everybody who has not watched this session, this is really the session I highly would recommend to watch it, because here you can make your life so much better, so much easier, and the life of your customer. And you can save enormous amount of energy. You can make a lot of things wrong. Case studies, I take them because they are mine. That's one in Germany. That was a fitness center. They had AFM, and the customer called me and said, Dominic, I have a problem. You know, I bought here AFM, but I still have too high of combined chlorine. I'm 0.3 and not 0.2. Also, I have a layer of activated carbon. My chlorates are too high, and I have not big, but I have some Legionellas. So I was there, and what did I find out? You know, he had this kind of top diffusers, and this is how his filter bed looked like. So the carbon was here, and here in the rest, there was nothing. So it couldn't reduce it on that point. But that was an easy one. We changed it then to this diffuser. Cost were $50. That solved the problem. But there were more problems. You know, I told him, okay, my friend, make a backwash. And he made the backwash, and he stopped after less than 2 minutes. Why are you stopping? I can't backwash longer. Why not? Yeah, my balance tank only has 800 gallons cross, and which is net maybe 500 gallons. And that wasn't just enough to backwash for not even 2 minutes. Now remember, our filters, DIN filters, they are 2 meters. So if you want to backwash them at the right velocity, you need 3-4 minutes until you get from the nozzle plate or from the laterals just to the top diffusers. So 2 minutes is not enough. Philip made this calculation. That was in session
3?
3? No, not
No.
3. That was session 2.
Session 2.
Session 2. Yeah, Florent, he's our genius, which is just not enough. So he said, yeah, but I make 2 times. No, it's not helping. You really have to do it in one step. What have we done? We took not the main drains, it was the suction side from an attraction, and with a Besco valve or a valve, doesn't matter. So we took the water directly from the pool so we could backwash 5 minutes, and that really solved the problem. So 2 things, these diffusers and that solved the problem. And then we were absolutely okay with combined chlorine. This may be also, as I don't know if you use these kind of balance tank, you see them here a lot. I hate them. They are cheap. That's good, but to clean them, this is terrible. I mean, Sean, think you should go in this. I mean, that's for me and for you. That's a challenge to get in, but believe me.
The size of my head, Dominic, my head wouldn't even fit in there.
Yeah. The challenge is to get out anymore. So terrible to clean them. And this one, that was a picture. Here, this is, I mean, 4 inches maybe. I mean, it's impossible to get in. More, it's absolutely impossible to get in. So that's a really lousy one. Yeah. But let's continue. What else did they had? Because they had Legionellas, and the backwash really solved big part of the Legionellas, but they still had a little bit. So I measured when I was on site, I always have a photometer with me. I measured phosphates, and he had 4 ppm of phosphates in the water. It's an indoor pool. How you get 4 ppm of phosphates? So I measured the tap water. The tap water had 4 ppm. Okay, that's the world record. I've never seen that number. I mean, I've seen 0.5, but never 4. But they had it. So what we did with NoFos, we really dropped it to 0. And then I told him, you have to move to APF to keep it down. And last not but least, they had the bleach. And they thought, well, it's cheaper if we buy 3 pallets, 72 canisters. That's enough for all the year. Yes, it's good, but don't forget, in these warm conditions, 95 Fahrenheit, you lose 50% in a month, and your chlorates go up. So I know you're not measuring chlorates, but that's wrong. So much better just to go for 2 or 3, and then as your pool partner, you bring him every month what he needs.
Yep.
So that was wrong. And a last one, because that just came in 2 days ago, that was Spain, San Sebastian, where these are Calplus filters. They had problems here with Pseudomonas, so we changed it to AFM. We wanted to do more changes, but he said, no, just AFM, nothing else. They have a UV medium pressure running on it. And now Jan, my partner, he came back and said, Dominic, it really solved the problem. You see, this is brand new. It really solved the problem with Pseudomonas. We also have a lower chlorine consumption. But I joined now the Pool Academy, all the 9 sessions, and he asked me, Dominic, and this is why I'm telling you this, that you see, you really can learn something. Shouldn't we take the injection point from the flocculation instead of here? Would it be not better here? Yes, Jan, you're right. You got it. And should I change these dosing pumps here to the standard pumps? Because this is the pump. They dose for 1 minute and they stop for 59 minutes, where with the standard pump, you can make it on permanence. So he got really his lesson.
Yeah.
And even if he would go to our APF, that would really solve his problem. Maybe a last thing, he has small algae problems in the pool area, in the pool in a small area. So you see, that's really Spanish.
Spanish, yeah.
That's really Spanish. And that brings me back to session number 8. Remember, session number 8, we said UV medium pressure, they are not great because THMs goes up. But yes, they broke by photolysis, they break down inorganic combined chlorine, monodiene trichloramine, but the end product is nitrate, and your nitrate levels will grow. And nitrate is a fertilizer, it's perfect for algae. Small algae problems in the pool. So better to stop this, to go for activated carbon, or in the future, even for the Avenox.
Yeah,
that's the learning. Vitamin D.
Yeah, so
vitamin D.
We're coming to the close here. Really, one of the key things for good health, now that's why I'm wearing my doctor's coat here, is to have a good immune system, right? And you may have heard that, you know, with the coronavirus, one thing that's really good for you is vitamin D.
Enough vitamin
right?
D, yeah.
So we really recommend vitamin D. Now, why do we mention this here? Because we do have a vitamin that helps, which is our vitamin Daisy, right? So Daisy are vitamin D for your pool. And really, the main thing to remember here that
we will not brainwash you again how good it is.
Exactly.
The yellow one, safe. With a Daisy, you're safe. Pathogens are gone. The water will be very clear. Clear water is safe water, but it will be safe because what we do, you see in red, we prevent. And that's the best you can do.
Exactly.
Don't get in a problem and then try to solve it.
Yep.
It's better you don't do it. This is how our pools should look like. That's Greece. Yeah, this is how they look. Okay, really good one. I agree.
Yep.
But this is how good we can get.
That's right. So we are at the end of session number 9.